Hello, in this video I'm going to go through the government spending multiplier and do a number of example problems. So here is the government spending multiplier, which can be thought of as the change in output, change in real GDP, divided by the change in government spending. It is known to be equal to 1 divided by 1 minus the marginal propensity to consume. MPC is the marginal propensity to consume, and the MPC gives the change in consumption spending from an additional dollar of income. So the formula for the marginal propensity to consume is the change in consumption spending divided by the change in income. So again, just redefining these things, the change in Y is the change in real GDP, and the change in G is the change in government spending. So let's do a problem. Let's first calculate the size of the government spending multiplier if the MPC equals 0.75. Plugging that 0.75 into our formula, we're going to get 1 divided by 0.25, and that just equals 4. To interpret that result, a $1 cut in spending would decrease output or real GDP by $4, or a $1 increase in government spending increases output by $4. Problem 2, let's calculate the size of the government spending multiplier if the MPS, and the MPS is the marginal propensity to save. So if your income goes up by $1, how much of that dollar will you save? 50 cents, 10 cents? So the MPS is the fraction of the last dollar of income that is saved. In this example, it is 1/3, and that implies that the MPC equals 1 minus the MPS. The MPC plus the MPS has to sum to 1. So if you're saving 1/3 of your next dollar earned, it must imply that you're spending 2/3 of your next dollar earned. So the MPC in this example is 2/3. Plugging 2/3 into our government spending multiplier, we're going to get 1 divided by 1/3, or 3. So here, a $1 cut in spending decreases output or real GDP by $3. A $1 increase in government spending increases output by $3. Problem 3. If government spending increases by $4 million and real GDP rises by $8 million, calculate the government spending multiplier. Here we're going to use the notion that the government spending multiplier is simply the change in real GDP divided by the change in government spending. So an $8 million increase in real GDP divided by the $4 million increase in government spending gives us a multiplier of 2. For every dollar increase in government spending, real GDP increases by $2. Problem 4. The MPC is 0.6. What happens to real GDP if the government increases spending by 10 million? So let's first calculate the government spending multiplier by plugging 0.6 into our formula. Doing that, we get a government spending multiplier of 2.5. So the government spending multiplier, also thought of as the change in real GDP divided by the change in G, equals 2.5. And in this example, we are told that government spending increases by 10 million. So our denominator here, the change in G, is plus 10 for 10 million. And now we're going to solve for the change in Y. Multiplying both sides through by 10, real GDP will increase by $25 million. Example 5. The government wants to increase real GDP by 40 million, so we want the change in Y to go up by 40 million, and the MPC equals 0.6, like in our last problem. How much should the government increase spending in this example? So from the last problem, we know that the government spending multiplier is 2.5 when the MPC is 0.6. Writing our government spending multiplier is the change in Y over the change in G and setting that equal to 2.5. Plugging in what we know, the change in y is 40. We're trying to solve for the change in g. So multiplying both sides through by the change in g, we get 2.5 times the change in g equals 40. And then dividing through by 2.5, the government should increase spending by $16 million. Increasing spending by $16 million, when the government spending multiplier is 2.5, will give us that $40 million increase in real GDP. Problem 6, if the government spending multiplier is 10, what is the marginal propensity to consume? So taking our formula for the government spending multiplier is 1 divided by 1 minus the MPC and setting that equal to 10, we're just going to solve for the MPC. Multiplying both sides through by 1 minus the marginal propensity to consume will give us this result. Simplifying the right-hand side, 10 times 1 and 10 times the negative MPC, we get this result. Moving some things around, subtracting 1 from 10 gives us 9, and then adding 10 MPC to both sides, we get this result. And finally, dividing through by 10, the marginal propensity to consume is 0.9. So when the MPC is 0.9, the multiplier will be 10. And in problem 7, in an economy, every $1 million increase in real GDP causes consumption spending to rise by 800,000. What is the size of the government spending multiplier? So the first thing we need here to do is solve for the marginal propensity to consume, which is a change in consumption divided by the change in y. So consumption goes up by 80,000 from $1 million increase in real GDP, real income. That implies that the MPC is 0.8. Plugging this 0.8 into our government spending multiplier, a government spending multiplier equal to 5. Hopeful.